All right, and now for the grand finale. One of my favorites. Good old M1 Garand. Ain't that thing just beautiful? That beautiful walnut stock. Well, I don't know. Maybe we should start this video out with a little shooting. Let me get my Air Pro on here. Now, before I do anything here, I'm going to show you the proper way to load this rifle. Pull the bolt back. See, that's your bolt stop is working. Now, most people, you'll see them just shove it in with their thumb like that. That is how you get what is called Garand thumb. If you will imagine your thumb being in this receiver and you get this. Yeah, Garand thumb. So this is how you load it. You take your in-block clip, you set it in the magazine, you push down with your thumb, you'll feel the bolt start to give. While you're pushing down, you are holding the bolt back with your little finger. And then once you feel the bolt start to give, you let off, and then usually you'll have to slap it. Alright, so now that we are ready to fire, let's I'm gonna go from right to left to see if I can miss any of these plays here. And let's just see what we can do. Ready for it? So like my little hostage situation there, I had to save the coffee bottle and hit the clay pigeon. As you can tell, this rifle is sighted in for me very well, very well. All right, now let's do some talking. Save that little end block there. Those things don't grow on trees. So, the M1 Garand. Where do we start? I'm going to start just kind of telling you a little bit about my story about the M1 Garand. Ever since I was little, and I'd hear the stories that my great-grandpa would talk about. They'd talk about how his M1 Garand was his favorite rifle because in World War II, he said, I know some people might not agree with this, but it's just the way war was. After he had been captured by the Italians, handed over to the Germans, he was a German POW, and after he had been liberated, he got put on a truck. They called it chartered. And what their job was is they had the kind of scorched earth policy. They would drive around the countryside and shoot all the livestock. That way, the enemy, it couldn't be used against them. The enemy would have nothing to eat, essentially. And he would talk about, he had his M1, he went and picked up an M1 carbine. He said it was really good for taking the head off a chicken, but you couldn't kill a cow with an M1 carbine. He said you had to shoot her 2 or 3 times. And he said, but that old M1 Garand, though, he said it'd drop one in one shot. And he also told about the time whenever he was captured, and it made him mad because he had to go take his M1 Garand and break it up against a tree so the enemy couldn't have it. So this particular rifle right here, I actually ordered off of Gunbroker while I was in the back of a Bradley in Fort Bliss, Texas. So yeah, it's just kind of something I wanted for a long time. The price was right, and I picked it up. So let's talk a little bit about the history of this rifle. The development for this thing started, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know the exact date, but I know Mr. Garand actually designed this rifle originally, and yes, it is Garand. His name was Garand. It's not Garand, but that's what everybody calls it. That's what I call it, whatever. Mr. Garand built this rifle originally, and it was supposed to be chambered in a cartridge known as 276 Pedersen, which was actually a little bit more like an intermediate cartridge. Whenever he took it to trials, the U.S. Army was like, man, we like this thing, but we would really like it in 30-06. He's like, oh, okay. So he went and he redesigned it, and I don't know the exact history of it, but he redesigned it to take this little piece of steel, stamped steel goodness here. This little M-block clip is what it's called. Funny story about this. If any of you guys are watching this from Fort Riley, if you go up north and you go into some of those the stick lanes areas, you will still find M-block clips laying all over the ground up there. Kind of cool. Let's see here. I also found a BAR magazine up there one time too. But anyhow, so yeah, that was just kind of what the development was like. Very short version of it. And I think it was developed around 1937 or 38. I'm not really sure. It's one of those two dates. This one right here is made in 1944. I can't remember. I think it was early 44, so it could have been at Normandy. However, you will notice there's a lot of stuff on this that is a little something you probably wouldn't see in World War II. For instance, like this nose cap here. That's a little different. Actually, once I got to digging around and looking at this rifle, it has a barrel. The barrel it's been rebarreled. It's not the same barrel it was originally on it. It's got a 1951 International Harvester barrel on it, which tells me the same thing as I said last time. This rifle has not only been through World War II, but it's also been through the Korean War too, which is kind of cool. But so let's talk a little bit about what our subject is in the first place, which is Normandy. What was this rifle's role in Normandy? You know what? Before I get to going rambling on anymore about this, you know the only thing that's better than 1 Garand? That would be 2 Garands. Let me talk a little bit about this one. This one right here is all matching, all original World War II. This one was made in 1941. It's a Springfield Armory, like I said, all matching. This is essentially the cream of the crop whenever it comes to the M1 rifle. This one, I don't know, there's just something about it. So the stock on the one I have here is not original. I'm gonna tell you that right now. The reason why I got it for such a good price on this one I ordered out of the back of the Bradley off Gunbroker was because it came with a gray laminate stock. So what I did was I found a place that sold unissued walnut stocks, and I didn't actually pay that much for the stock for this rifle, and it looks pretty good. However, there's just something about holding up an all original, all matching numbers M1 Garand. It's just, she's just got a little soul to her. We'll shoot this one before it's all said and done. But now, okay, gotta get off this rabbit trail here. Shoot that rabbit so I can get back. What was this thing's role on Normandy? Well, let's just talk a little bit about what we're facing at Normandy. Contrary to popular belief, I'm going to say 90% of the guys that landed there had no combat experience whatsoever. There may have been a few that would have just gotten back from maybe Northern Africa or, you know, Sicily, Salerno, Messina, something like that. But for the vast majority of the guys, you got a bunch of guys who just, all they've done is train. They've trained hard and they've trained well, but that's all they've done. They just trained. And so you give them the best rifle you can possibly give them. And I'm going to say that right now. This was, in my opinion, the best small arm of World War II. I am kind of if you haven't noticed already, I'm kind of a German, I love German weaponry. However, I don't even think that the only thing that'd be close would be the Sturmgewehr, and there's some issues with it. I still say this is the best weapon you could have had in World War II. You give this to all your guys who've been training with it, and you tell them to go and run 300 yards, that's how far the beach was, 300 yards, and charge into MG42 fire at about 1,300 rounds a minute. You give this to these guys, they've got a good semi-automatic rifle. They got a rifle that'll reach out that 300 yards and will tag somebody whenever they need to they can suppress the enemy. You know, you can sit here, you can rapid fire this thing. You can put precision shots on target, which is a very good plus. As much as I liked all the other guns we've talked about so far, if you can't tell, This and the Lee Enfield are the two that I can hit with the best for some reason. I don't know. But it's a very accurate rifle. It's a very powerful rifle. It's just the best. It's the best small arm you could have had in World War II. So when you're storming across that 300 yards of beach, open beach, and you're suppressing the machine guns, and you're running up and you get past the barbed wire and they're running through the trenches, like this might have been not as gainly as, this might have been a little more ungainly than a 97 Winchester, but you don't have to shoulder fire it. So when you're 10 feet away, you can buckle down on this thing and shoot it like that. I've seen it done before in close range, close quarters. So, and I'm just going to say, in the words of, I will let General Patton speak for all of us whenever he said, this is the greatest battle implement ever devised. That's saying a lot in a war where they just introduced the atomic bomb. This was the game changer for the American Army. All right, I've rambled on enough about it. Let's do some more shooting here. I'm going to shoot with the all original girl here. See if it's sighted in for me or my brother. Funny thing about these rounds, fun fact, I reload these because you're not supposed to shoot commercial ammo through these rifles. So I reload these 150 grain Sierra Match Kings to spec to the M2 ball ammo. I reloaded these last year on June 6th, 2019 on the 75th anniversary. So just a fun little thing there. All right, let's load this bad boy back up. I'll let you get a close-up of this, cameraman. Ready? There we go. All right, weapons on fire. I'm going to start from right to left. See if I can hit that little piece of clay. Yes! Alright, so I got one more thing I'm going to talk about, and then we're going to do some more shooting and whatnot. And that was something I was asked as a modern day soldier, modern day infantryman. What are my thoughts on the M1 Garand? Is it still a viable weapons platform? Well, I'm going to say I give it a mild yes. This rifle has so much going for it. It's accurate, it's powerful, it's pretty reliable. The only issue you're going to have is if you go and you get it in the mud or you get it in the dirt. There's this big old gaping hole back here. Anybody who's handled M14s knows this. You get dirt and mud and debris in there and it'll gum up your action. But other than that, it's fairly reliable as long as you can keep that area clean. Like I said, accurate, powerful, pretty reliable, very durable, very durable. It only has one issue as far as a modern, like without rule of law situation goes. For short term, it would be pretty good. For long term, 30-06 is not as available as 5.56. It's not bad. You could probably find it in most anywhere you go, but this thing kind of likes to feed M2 ball, the softer shooting rounds. You can bend your operating rod shooting hotter loads, or you really want to stay away from your standard factory loads, especially like 220 grains. Come on, guys, don't do that to your poor old M1 Garand. What did she do to deserve that? So, I would say though, if you had plenty of ammo and you had plenty of training on the rifle, yeah, it's still viable. Now, it doesn't have no 30-round detachable magazine, but, however, let's just do a little demonstration here. I'm not very well trained in this, but I'm going to go ahead and place the weapon on safe, and we're going to simulate a reload here. So, Let me get this thing back in here. And this is even going to be a little slower because I'm going to have to rack the bolt to represent my last round. Alright, so here we go. And this would be like, usually people, I've seen them carry them like that. So here we go. That's fast. That is fast for me, and I'm by no means an expert. There are guys who can do it a whole lot faster than that. So this weapon's on safe for now. Let's do a little more shooting. Let me get my air pro right quick. Alrighty. I'm gonna take the weapon off safe, place it on fire. I'm gonna try to shoot these targets as fast as I can. Alrighty. Little hole right through the middle of that one. Ah. So as you can see, it'll still hold up very well. Very well. Oh man, this thing just... If you don't have an M1 Garand yet, and you got a bunch of new tactical rifles that cost several $1,000s, what are you doing? Go get yourself an M1 Garand. They're so nice. They're so nice. Well, that's about all I got for this video. Just want to say thanks for watching this series here. I know it hasn't been the most exciting, but we're just trying. Next year I kind of want to do it again, but next year we'll see. We'll try to have a real K98. We'll do some of the handguns and stuff. Just this year kind of got cut short because of stuff with the National Guard I got to go do. So, yeah, M1 Garand, great rifle, great rifle. Thank you for watching.